Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this show without the express written consent of the Financial Guys, LLC is strictly prohibited.
Investment advisory services offered through Independent Solutions Wealth Management and Blackridge Asset Management, LLC. Peak Broker Services, LLC is not an affiliate of Independent Solutions or Financial Guys, LLC.
Welcome to TFG Truth. I'm Mike Hoeflich with my partner Mike Sperrazza. Every week we try to report facts, expose hypocrisy, and espouse some common sense. We're going to talk a little bit about infrastructure today. A lot of you might not know what that means, and we're going to report what the official meaning is.
I thought I knew.
I thought I knew too. I mean, I think it's a couple sentences. You'll see, and I think it pretty much captures what I always thought of infrastructure. But wait until you hear what the left thinks of as infrastructure. A little different than maybe the traditional definition would imply. But first, let's talk about the first 100 days by our President Joseph Biden.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things to hit on here, right? I mean, I think you have his promises. What the biggest one was unity, right? We're going to unify everybody.
Are we there?
Well, I think we've gone the other way. But and again, I know it's 100 days. You're not going to fix everything in 100 days. We know that. They know that. But it's not even gotten close to better, right? It's actually, like I said, it's gone the other way now.
Yeah.
Now we're the police issue is getting worse, right? That's getting worse.
Absolutely.
We've seen a few instances of that. And now even when police do the right thing, they're getting ripped apart. LeBron James, right?
Yep.
You know, he wants to call out a policeman for shooting a girl that was about to stab another girl.
Right.
Now that's wrong.
Yeah, you're next. But he knew he was wrong because he immediately then deleted that, right?
But did you see his I'm sorry tweet, by the way?
No, well, yeah. And it basically became, I'm so sorry, but I'm a victim here, man. And these are my people. And you know, I'm so tired of this happening to everyone, you know, so it became, I'm not sorry. I'm just going to be now a victim. So you feel sorry for me. And I think in the back of his head, he's going, I'm too big to have Twitter take me off. I don't think they're going to take me off. And they haven't, of course.
And they won't, of course.
They won't.
Let me just read that because now that we're on that topic. So his apology tweet is, anger does any of us, he meant to say doesn't do any of us any good. And that includes myself. Gathering all the facts and educating does, though. My anger still is here for what happened to that little girl. My sympathy for her and her family, and may justice prevail. Okay, that's one. No, there's a second. Go ahead.
Okay, so real quick, like if you're angry about what happened to that little girl, let's talk about the little girl. Let's talk about her situation. What got her to the point of knocking over one girl and having a knife in her hand and running to the car where that girl was standing against, ready to plunge a knife into her head or her neck or her chest? What got her to that point? LeBron, that's the issue. It's not that the cop thankfully showed up, cop of only like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And he actually did the right thing. 2 people could have died, or one could have been basically in a coma.
Yeah.
Who knows? But what do? You save a life because the other person is ready to take that person's life.
And in typical liberal form here, LeBron James, I'm so damn tired of seeing black people killed by police. I took that tweet down because it's being used to create more hate. This isn't about one officer. It's about the entire system, and they always use our words to create more racism. I am so desperate for more accountability. So let's beat that up a little bit too. Hold on a second here. You are so damn tired of seeing black people killed by police. You took the tweet down because it creates more hate. You were the one that created the hate by saying, next up, you're next, right? That's creating hate towards officers.
How many people did a screenshot of that before it was removed from Twitter? How many people now have that guy, that cop's face on their fridge with "You're next" from our hero LeBron James,
with 49.6 million followers, by the way.
He's already done the damage.
Right.
You can't undo the tweet that went out to 50 million people.
Right.
Is it 50 million?
Yeah.
Holy jeez.
And that's 50 million that have Twitter. Forget the rest of the people that sent it to their friends that didn't, or who. I mean, you know, and that's the problem I have with it. That we talk about we don't want to create hate between, but that type of stuff does, and the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris rhetoric does too, and the Don Lemon and the your reliable sources guy, was it Brian Stelter?
God, yeah.
That stuff also creates the hate, right? So I'm sick and tired of hearing that. Oh, I'm sick of this. I'm the accountability. Yes, accountability to your people too.
The wrong people keep stepping up and getting in the spotlight because they just have. It's almost like a heroin addiction. Like once they've taken that heroin, it is so hard to get off the heroin. And all of these mental midgets, as Mike Lomas likes to call people like this, they do this. They think they're going to help. They don't really have the skill set to help. They're very impassioned, emotional. So I'll give them that. And LeBron, maybe one of the best basketball players of all time, but he is not a good advocate for these issues, right? He just isn't. So they've got to get better people to step up and actually speak common sense, folks, about these issues, and that will repair things, right? That will help.
So that's one issue. Then
Are we done? I feel like we... Yeah.
So that's one. Then we have border insecurity, which, as we all know, has not been the greatest of plans to fix that problem down there at the Mexican border, right? Our vice president still isn't there. We're over a month now. She still has not been down there, but she's had time to go to New Hampshire and Virginia and places like that. Just can't squeeze it in the schedule to get down there. And she joked about it a couple weeks ago that, I'll get there soon.
Right.
Well, I don't know how long soon is for her. It might be 60 days, 90 days.
Remember Trump when he assigned Vice President Pence to Operation Warp Speed, right?
Yep.
I think it was like was it that same day or very quickly, they got in front of the press and they said, here's our plan. This is what we're going to do. And Trump took too much time at the microphone, in my opinion. He should have immediately said, I've got Mike. Mike's involved.
Yep.
Mike's going to handle this. Mike then gets in front of the microphone.
Yep.
But Trump likes the limelight. There's no question, and that often hurt him. But he did get right out in front of that problem, and within literally record time, vaccines were generated. Right within a year. Distribution now widely expanded.
That's not because of Trump, though. That's because of Biden.
Right. Yeah. But you don't want to use the Trump Pence model, right? Because mean orange man, don't use his model, right?
Yep.
But anyway, I do. I think it's just still pathetic, and still hundreds of thousands of people are going to be coming over our border. And there's actually lawsuits now. I don't have all the detail on it, but lawsuits that are being launched against the federal government for allowing these illegal immigrants that have COVID into our country.
Yep.
So they're literally saying, you're putting our citizens at risk, and they are. I mean, there's no question.
And the fact that there's rules for certain people and not for others, again, just doesn't make any sense. And to stay with COVID for a second, because I think that's a good segue to this one, Joe Biden opening schools was supposed to do all these different things he promised. Our schools are finally starting to open, and not in every state either, right? And I'm going to be honest with you, we're opening up in New York State here in the coming weeks. How long is that going to last before one or two kids get sick and then they end up saying, so let's close them down again,
Close them down because they love it. They just love it because that's more power for them and that's more control.
Right.
And by the way, folks, stay tuned because at the very end of our podcast today, there's just an awesome clip I'm going to play, a couple minutes long, just a really impassioned plea by a parent relating to COVID and masks. So stay tuned with us. What else do we have in our first 100 days?
Last two things before we get into, I'll consider the infrastructure part of my stimulus conversation.
Okay.
But our cities are still burning, right? We have Minnesota that was getting rioted this week. We still have Portland. They just can't not burn.
They have demands now, right?
Oh, they do. They do. Yeah.
Black Lives Matter has demands.
I have that one as well. Yeah.
Antifa has demands. So it isn't enough that Derek Chauvin was convicted on all three counts. We're waiting, I think, for the sentencing and so forth. And I think we'd all agree, all of us would agree, that he should be convicted. It just was a bad moment for a cop that maybe was on the streets too long. I know we've talked about that before. Maybe we need to train and have some further guidelines on how long a cop should be out there. But it's not enough. And they immediately come out and say it's not enough. And we're going to actually take over various blocks and, towns, cities, and so forth, buildings until needs are met and demands are met, right?
Here's my favorite demand of this group here. This is one of the best things I've read in a while. Establish a temporary suspension of property tax increases for residents of George Floyd Square Zone for 2 years. Just them. They'll get the tax break, and everybody else can still pay tax.
So literally, do they even know anyone who owns property or owns the businesses? Because I think they're just really good at destroying.
Right.
They don't have any care in the world for whose businesses they're destroying, whose windows they're breaking, whose supplies and products they're looting. I don't even know how they knew what property taxes were, to be honest with you. I think someone put that in their ear. But,
right.
But yeah, it's pathetic. It's never going to end. They don't want it to end. And the left actually keeps, and the media wants it to continue, because that's literally the way they get ratings, and the Democrats think that's the only way they can stay in power.
Right, and the last thing I'll say too is foreign policy issues. Right, there's issues with Ukraine and Russia that are boiling over with us. There's issues with China that's boiling over with us. So this is all the stuff that, again, we all said it. You knew when you had a guy that was going to be taking office that was probably senile and has early onset dementia, right? And I think we can all agree on that. For God's sakes, he's reading off an index card.
And he actually supported China, in very nefarious ways.
Right.
I mean, just look at his son, right? I mean, literally, they profited from China. So it wasn't even like, I really have no idea what's going on overseas. He knew, but he also profited from what he knew.
Right. And I said this is my one note that I wanted to make sure I said. My biggest issue.
The one note.
The only thing I got. the one thing is you ran on a platform of change and unity, and we're going to bring everybody together. And all you've done in the first 100 days is separated. People said Trump was the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, your policy and what you're saying is now the bad guy, because everything you've done is everybody's oppressed. Right? It's unfair. It's injustice. It's inequality, inequity. That's all we've talked about for 100 days.
Yep.
Have we talked about doing anything to make us better besides giving free money away?
Yeah.
Which goes into our stimulus package of, what we're going to talk about now. The only thing that we've done is give free money away. In 100 days, in my opinion.
And I think President Biden has made a change. He's changed from some of the positive things that Trump did in terms of a stronger America, in terms of not being taken by, Iran and this crazy Iran nuclear deal. On the Paris Accord, right? The treaties on, what's the one where we were putting so much money into this? The
one in Paris?
No, the United Nations. I think just
the WHO. The WHO was one of them.
Oh, there's just so many organizations that the United States has always just overfunded, in my opinion, and so many people, so many other countries just underfund it. They know that America will do it, right? Trump made things more fair for Americans. There were no issues with North Korea. Everyone mocks Trump for what is he thinking? He's palling up with this leader of North Korea, this crazy dude. No, I think he's saying, you know what? If we don't talk to this guy, he's going to do something crazy, and we're going to keep him under control. Putin didn't mess with Ukraine or... who else has Putin really just bullied? And the Ukraine is the one that's coming to mind. But
he's bullied a lot of people.
He is a bully. Yeah. But Trump basically, just by showing a strong stance, showed Putin, listen, we can banter back and forth, whatever. They can see you riding horseback with no shirt and whatever. I mean, I'm not you, Putin, right? I'm not your best friend, though, and you're not going to do this to other countries. America is strong again. We're not going to let you do that. China was not messing too much with Taiwan. If they did anything like in the waters, then we put a strong foot forward, China would stop.
And here's the thing, right? And that's what we loved about Trump, and we'll continue to say we loved about Trump. He was a businessman. He wrote the book, The Art of the Deal, right? He knew how to work with people, whether that's in business, whether that's other world leaders, whoever. Yep. It's a skill set that he got from being in business. And for all the times we say, these politicians have never run a lemonade stand, right? You learn how to deal with people. Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. You can't just pussyfoot around, one, or you can't be Johnny Toughnuts, two, where you try and bully people, because that won't work either. Right. And you got to finesse it, and I think that's what Trump did well people can say what they want.
Yeah.
He's this, he's that, he's a Russia, scam.
Puppet and all that. Oh, yeah.
But that's just, you have to know how to deal with people. Being, again, we're gonna destroy you, or, oh, yeah, come on. Like, that's not the approach. You can't be too soft. You can't be too hard. You got to find a balance.
Right.
And Democrats think, well, their balance is just let everybody in. Oh, yeah, well, just let them do what they want. Hunter, you go do what you need to do with it. That's their balance of just letting it all happen, where Trump let some stuff happen, also put his foot down on other stuff. And I think it was a good approach.
Mm-hmm. So all in all, Biden's first 100 days, I don't know, not too stellar in my opinion. He's actually looking more and more like in a fog. And I think if he is not sticking exactly to a script, it's just a train wreck.
Well, that's what I was going to say. To summarize the first 100 days, the fact that we've seen him in a real news conference, once?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about once.
About once. And his vice president, about zero.
Yeah. and he actually had, he had it all scripted. Remember, they showed a little picture of him behind the podium.
The index card.
He had everything. He had literally all the reporters' names, who he was supposed to call on. It was a scripted press conference, and he still wasn't that stellar with. So, God help us, right? Let's see if, I think the very, very next moment, the big moment, might be those midterm elections, right? Yeah. And there's all sorts of talk already about hopefully we can get a better balance, right? I think maybe next week what we'll do is talk a little bit about this power grab of making Washington, D.C. a state, trying to pack the courts. I mean, there's so many things that you got to give the left credit. They are really, really trying, just in your face, as you always say, just right in your face. Yep. They're not even hiding any of these things now. Now they're professing these things.
Slapping you in the face with it.
Slapping it in your face. And they're writing bills to make this happen.
Yep.
So I hope there are some strong senators, some moderates, some Democrats that are a little more moderate-minded that say, whoa, I didn't sign up for this, and my constituency in my state didn't sign up for this. We got to put an end to this. We are going too far. Hopefully there are some brave souls out there to do that.
And the problem I have with it is the things they want to do, like pack the courts and stuff, it's going to impact them too down the road. They're going to get burned by it too.
Yeah.
You gotta see the future a little bit and see the problems with doing, because if the left does it, I'm sure the right will say when they're in power, screw it.
Oh, well, right.
We'll do it too, right?
If that's the game we're going to play, right? And they often do say, like pundits say, Republicans, they are too kind. They think they're playing on a level playing field. Right. Oh, no, they're not. They're just not.
You can't play with crazy.
No, you can't. So let's talk a little bit about infrastructure. Now, you may have thought this was infrastructure, okay? That it was the general term for the basic physical systems of a business, region, or nation. Examples of infrastructure include transportation systems, okay, communication networks, sewage, water, and electric systems. You may have thought that, but if you did, you were wrong. Now, Biden has a $2 trillion infrastructure plan, and it's ambitious, and he says it's going to highlight just a few things, $115 billion for roads and bridges.
Okay, that makes sense.
Makes sense,
That's
absolutely.
Infrastructure, okay.
$174 billion to jolt and boost the electric vehicle market.
Okay.
So now we're getting pretty specific, right? It's not about transportation systems, as the definition might say. No, now it's specifically about electric. So it's already starting to lean, right? In favor of, like as if he knows, right? Don't let the markets dictate. Don't let science and research and the actual capitalistic nature of our society dictate what's best, what works best, what's most efficient, what's most clean, and all that. $100 billion to expand high-speed broadband access. I don't think I could argue with that, right?
Yeah.
$100 billion to improve and build new schools. Yeah, I think I like that. $100 billion for energy, including helping the U.S. transition to clean energy. Okay.
Let me go back real quick, though, to the broadband access.
What is that anyway?
Well, they just did it.
So these things work?
Well, but here's my thing. They just said this in they're trying to make it cheaper for Buffalo. Just did this in Erie County, right? You're making it cheaper for the inner city household to buy the. What do we have to? Is that what we mean by invest $100 billion to expand high speed? Like $100 billion so people can get it cheaper, Or are we getting it in areas like I live on West River on Grand Island? The access over there is not great. It's just where it is. It's close to Canada, whatever. Is that what we mean to fix those dead spots? Or does this mean to expand high-speed broadband access to people that can't afford it? Is that what we mean by that?
No idea. They probably don't know either.
Right.
But it's a big number, and the general concept seems okay. How about the liberal version, though? And, this is just so much fun. The Thrive Act, right? The Thrive Act. This includes some infrastructure type things, but wait until you hear some of these things. And I guess I'll just read a little bit about this. This, I believe, this is an Ocasio-Cortez. I guess she's not a co-sponsor of Thrive. She's got her Green New Deal, right? That was her. Her big, it's still her big thing, right?
Her big idea.
Her big idea.
Yeah.
And so if you look at a more liberal version, what was funny, though, AOC comes out, and as soon as this came out, this $2 trillion infrastructure idea, she says, it's not big enough. I mean, we should go at least 10 trillion. I'm thinking, my first thought literally was, does she even know how to write the number 2 trillion? How do you even conceptualize 2 trillion and then say, it should be 10. Why not just make it
100?
What's the next thing after trillion?
Quadrillion?
Quadrillion? Yeah. Quad.
Yeah.
Why not just make it 1 or 10 quadrillion?
Yeah.
I mean, she's something else. She just has no
concept of money.
No concept at all. So here are some things, though, in the Thrive Act. And this is great. So let me see. It was introduced in Congress in April 2021. So literally just weeks now. Lead sponsors are Senators Ed Markey, Jeff Merkley, Reps Debbie Dingell, Ilhan Omar.
There she is.
I love her. And amongst others. So this is some of the stuff that the Thrive Act would do. Invest at least $1 trillion per year. New economic modeling. Right away, it's like got you thinking, right? New economic modeling. What is that, right? No idea.
I'm sorry, are we talking about infrastructure or do we get on to another topic?
Yeah, they want to transform, I think, the economy. So here they are, and here are some of the things. This is the first bullet point, so I'm imagining they thought this was really important. We need to create more than 15 million good jobs, because there's a lot of bad jobs out there,
right.
End the unemployment crisis while cutting climate pollution in half by 2030. So they got 9 years to cut climate pollution, whatever that is, by 2030. Confront systemic racism and gender, economic, and environmental injustice. Right out of the gates, they throw it in your face. This is about everyone being treated unequally, and we need to fix that.
Can I get a breakdown of where that 1 trillion's going and all those things there?
Doesn't matter.
Do we have that anywhere?
You're a racist. I'm just going to throw it out there. Honoring frontline leadership. Here we go. Another thing. And I just love these phrases that you have no idea what they mean. Reorient investments toward justice. What does that mean?
I don't even know.
Reorient. So orient them again. So I guess what, like fund properly again toward justice. What's justice? Just ask them. It's again here. It's in this bullet too. Fighting systemic racism. Historic pollution now. Now we're talking about historic pollution. The climate crisis, economic insecurity must be on the forefront of building a more just economy.
Here's what kills me too. So let's just say America figures out the climate issue. We figure it out. We figure out clean energy. We figure out electric cars, electric planes.
Yep.
You name it. We got it all figured out over here. What about the other 99.8% of the world, right?
We got Biden to really make sure they adhere to those policies. Like, don't worry.
And that's
led by China, right?
It's hilarious, right? Like China has more emissions than we have in like 5 years.
Yep.
In a year. And what are, I get it. And again, to go back real quick before we continue the next bullet, to go back to the electric car thing, anybody with I'd get an electric car. I'm all for it. I'll fly in an electric plane.
Yep.
Does the thing get the job done? That's the question. Does the electric car not cost $100,000? Does the electric car drive the way I need it to drive, when I need to drive it, where I need to drive it? That's the problem. Everybody's for this stuff. Like, I'm good with it. Electric car, a car that runs on Fruity Pebbles. I don't care, whatever.
That'd be fun.
Whatever.
Because then if you need a snack, you can maybe just go right into the tank and,
But really,
like that
I mean,
idea.
I'm good with that, but it has to work and get the job done.
Right. I don't I don't want to get near the on-ramp and then I'm hitting the gas and my car is going 20 and 25 and there's a semi coming and I got to get on the on-ramp and please come on. Yeah, I need it to have what it takes to be safe. I need it to get me from one place to another without breaking down and not having battery charger supply on the throughway.
And I also can't break my bank and pay for a house essentially to buy the thing, right? That's the other problem.
Come on, you can take out a 10-year loan for your car.
Yeah, maybe they'll give me the Thrive Act. I'll get a bonus.
This is great. So cut just a few more, folks. This is the third bullet point where they actually do say infrastructure. The bill includes investments to upgrade our infrastructure. Okay.
Great.
Clean water, affordable public transit, reliable electric grid. I like that. Expand access to wind and solar power, electric vehicles, and healthy buildings. So, they have to go back into their wheelhouse, right? They go back into their wheelhouse.
What is the healthy building? Is there an explanation?
I'm really not sure. Maybe those buildings are getting COVID too, right?
Let's take a look.
So I guess it's the ones that don't have the top-notch infiltration systems, right? All the filtering systems.
So it's not an exterior thing, it's an interior thing.
It must be healthy, that's going to create 4 million jobs. Love
good.
that. They just throw that out there. Let's see. This is great though. It's also about investing in public institutions and care for children and the elderly, essential work that is underpaid and largely performed by women of color. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with infrastructure?
I don't have an answer.
No idea.
I don't have an answer for you.
Then it goes into respecting indigenous sovereignty. Okay, great. Now they're they're worried about the indigenous people and nations, right? That's all part of infrastructure. Let's see. I just love some of this. And just because they left this point for too long, the frontline communities that have borne the brunt of systemic racism, environmental injustice, and economic exclusion, including Black, Indigenous, Latin, Arab, Asian, and Pacific Islander communities. So
while we're on that, President Biden just said recently too that climate change impacts. Let me read his tweet. I forgot exactly how he worded it, but it was for really it only impacts minorities. It doesn't impact anybody else. And to me, again, to draw the divide and create more racism by
division.
just racial division by doing that.
You go in your corner, you go in your corner. We don't get to talk to each other. Name calling, right? Just call each other names. Nothing gets done.
It's amazing. I can't find it. I won't waste time. But one other thing too, I looked up healthy buildings because I thought that was important to figure out.
Okay.
Healthy building refers to an emerging area of interest that supports physical, psychological, and social health and well-being of the people in the buildings and the built environment.
Sounds like it was written by a true liberal professor in an Ivy League school.
Here's an idea. Paint the damn walls. Okay? Put a picture up.
Paint the walls.
Right?
Put a picture up.
I'd love to
Open the windows. Get some fresh air.
Right. I'd love to have our office in the Taj Mahal. We just can't do that right now.
And punish the bullies in the buildings. Don't let the bullies take over. Don't tell everybody what to do with every moment of their time while they're in your building. That's not healthy, right?
Right.
It's a little bit about common sense again, and but they come up with these real lofty, literally uninterpretable definitions and phrases, and they just think everyone's gonna go, oh, that's really
that sounds good. Yeah, let's do that.
I'm signing on to that. How many trillions, quadrillions, bazillions? I don't know, but they're really smart people, right?
And in the couple minutes we have left, I think that's we said it on our last podcast, and we'll say it again. Where does this stuff end? What is it that makes them happy to? Again, look at this has the environment has nothing to do with race. Okay, climate change has nothing to do with race. Okay, policing even.
Unknown caller.
Yeah, they'll lead you to think though that basically everything's about climate change, including illegal immigration, and defunding the police. Like everything's about race, right? And climate change,
right? And to me, again, all you're doing by saying that stuff is creating further racial divide. And no matter what you say, look, what with policing and what's going on with policing right now, we read the stats the other day. How many white males or females have been killed by police officers?
Oh yeah.
How many officers have been killed? Like, how about that's a problem? Police officers getting murdered's a problem, right? But we always have to turn it into it's racial. It's not. The climate doesn't know if you're 4 feet tall, 8 feet tall, white, black, Hispanic. They don't. The environment doesn't know.
No.
Infrastructure doesn't know.
Right.
The bridge doesn't know who's driving over it every day. It just knows cars are driving over
But
it.
the left knows. That's where you're wrong. The left knows these things, and we just listen, fall in line, right? So anyway, we'll come back to infrastructure. We got to see what actually does happen out there. Lots of lofty ideas, some with big words, big phrases, new economic modeling, right? Like they know what they're talking about. Well, let's see. And by the way, who's going to pay for it? All of us who contribute, right? By giving tax dollars, because we actually work. It's the people that actually contribute that have to pay for this.
I'm going to ask Mike and Glenn also to make this building healthy too. So we got to figure that out.
I just don't feel right here. So yeah, that's a good point. Let's do that as soon as we're done with our podcast.
We have too many luncheons too with pizza, so that's got to go.
Too many.
Yeah.
Let's get some more of those, I don't know, regenerative farm plants,
organic
vegetables,
things
like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to end today's podcast, folks, with a very, very impassioned plea by a Georgia mom. Her name is Courtney Ann Taylor, and this was to her school board. And you just can't say it any better than this, folks.
Every month I come here and I hear the same thing: social emotional health. If you truly mean that, you would end the mask requirement tonight. Tonight. This is not March 2020 anymore. We have 3 vaccines. Every adult in the state of Georgia that wants that vaccine is eligible to get it right now, and every one of us knows that young children are not affected by this virus. They're not, and that's a blessing. But as the adults, what have we done with that blessing? We've shoved it to the side and we've said, we don't care. You're still gonna wear a mask on your face every day, 5 and 6 year olds. You still can't play together on the playground like normal children, 7 and 8 year olds. We don't care. We're still going to force you to carry a burden that was never yours to carry. Shame on us. My 6-year-old looks at me every month before I come here and she says, are you gonna tell them tonight? Tell them I don't wanna wear this anymore. And I say, baby, it's not time to fight that battle yet. I try to explain that there's so many things, but it's April 15th, 2021, and it's time. Take these masks off of my child. And I know what I'm gonna be met with. But Ms. Taylor, the CDC, we did not vote for people at the CDC. We did elect leaders who do create policy. We elected the 5 of you. We chose you to make difficult decisions for our children. We chose you to make decisions that would be in our children's best interest, and forcing 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9-year-old little children to cover their noses and their mouths where they breathe for 7 hours a day, every day for the last 9 months for a virus that you know doesn't affect them. That is not in their best interest, and this has to stop. Defend our children. My 6-year-old can't come up here and say this. It has to stop. Take these off of our children.
Courtney Ann Taylor, hero of the week.
Well, she must not know about the variants that are coming out affecting everybody, children included. You know, like that's what they'll say.
It just goes to your point. When will it end?
Yeah.
And those folks, these school board members, hey, when they're sitting up there, they know they're in control. So many of them, they just have like Ms. Taylor said, they don't have the best interests of who they're actually serving in mind. These are children. There's so much science now that says that children are very much unimpacted by COVID. They aren't big spreaders, especially in the schools. And we're keeping them out now well into a second year.
And good luck, I'll call it retraining in air quotes, these kids to go back to full-time school and be normal about it too.
Yep.
A year of sitting at home and having to go part-time or not at all is not an easy thing to fix.
It's unbelievable.
And mentally, it makes you, why do I need to do that? I'll just stay at home. Who cares? What, and the ease of staying at home. I don't care what anybody says. Working from home as a student without a full day of classes and you're not going to get the same education that you're getting when you're in school.
Nope. It's going to take a long, long time to repair the damage being done for all of our children that aren't able to go into their classrooms and learn, essentially first learn, but also to have social interaction, to understand how they fit in.
Yep.
Are they okay, right? We always had questions when you're growing up. It's like, he's a little different, cool. I'm not, am I okay? Does he like me? Does she like me? Am I doing all right? They don't have any sense of that right now.
I mean, for me too, I met my wife as a high school student because I saw her at school and I was in a class with her.
Yep.
That's how I met my wife, who I've been with now for 11 years, right?
And you communicated with her. You got to know each other.
Yes.
These kids have no sense of that right now, and especially those young ones. I mean, this is where those real, the key moments in their lives, right, where the formative years of figuring it all out, it's just not happening. So
I just want to mention next week, or it might be 2 weeks from now, but we are going to be sitting down with John Maples, who ran for Palm Beach County Commissioner. So we're going to do an interview with him, and we'll have that on the podcast in a couple weeks. Yeah.
Keep tuning in, folks. And if you can go out wherever you find your podcast, you can look at previous versions of TFG Truth. We appreciate you tuning in. Keep up the good fight. I'm Mike Hoeflich for Mike Sperrazza. We'll be back next week. Welcome to TFG Truth. I'm Mike Hoeflich with my partner, Mike Sperrazza, where we every week try to help you report some... Gotta start over. Son of a bitch.
We're always good for one.
I'm pretty much on a once a week, once for sure every week. All right, I'll just stick to the script.
I'll keep those for Kelsey.
See, that's what happens when I go off script. I'm like Joe Biden. Yeah. And we're every week, that outfit over there.
Oh, shoot. Where are my notes?
Those fellas over there in that outfit.
Oh, shoot. Where are my notes? Where's my index card?
And I'll take questions. No, you won't. Dead air, suddenly. Okay, here we go. Welcome to TFG Truth with Mike Hoeflich and Mike Sperrazza. I gotta start again. I don't say with Mike Hoeflich because I am Mike Hoeflich. Holy shit. Okay, here we go.
How are you so good on the radio?
I don't know. I gotta get my rhythm here. All right, here we go.